Think China. 11th of April 2024, China is dealing with an increase in terrorist threats, ranging from Pakistan to Afghanistan. While the world continues to focus on the recent terrorist attacks in Moscow, the death toll of Chinese laborers along the estimated $65 billion China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, which is regarded as one of Beijing's most ambitious projects in the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, continues unabated. On March 26, a suicide bomber in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of northwest Pakistan ambushed a Chinese convoy close to Besham city, killing 5 Chinese engineers and their Pakistani driver. The attack illustrated how violent spillovers from Afghanistan could undermine Chinese investments in the region. Security issues and doubting China's Belt and Road Initiative. Even though no terrorist organization has formally taken credit for this horrific deed, 9 Chinese laborers perished in the same region in 2021, close to the Dasu hydroelectric dam's construction. The militant organization Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan, TTP, which was located in Afghanistan, was being blamed at the time by the Pakistani government. The increasingly deteriorating ties between Islamabad and the Taliban were demonstrated a few days before the Besham incident when Pakistan's Air Force struck a TTP base in Afghanistan as payback for the TTP murdering 7 Pakistani soldiers during an offensive in northern Pakistan. The Balochistan Liberation Army, BLA, a separatist force active in southwest Pakistan, assaulted Chinese investments in the port city of Gwadar, another cornerstone of the CPEC, concurrently with the attack on the Chinese convoy. In this instance, the BLA terrorists who had attacked a Chinese truck close to the vital port were driven back by Pakistani security forces. Since 2018, the BLA has been focusing on Chinese personnel and investments in Balochistan and important port cities like Gwadar and Karachi in an effort to foment tension between Islamabad and Beijing. The organization has also advanced the Baloch nationalist narrative that Beijing is abusing the province's natural riches. At a crucial moment, when Beijing is seeking to back Islamabad's newly elected government to increase investment, violence directed towards Chinese people and interests in Pakistan has increased. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif informed the Chinese workers during his visit to Dhaka following the Besham incident that the Pakistani government would do everything possible to guarantee they had the finest protection available. At the same time, the surge in violence is igniting fears about the 3 evils that China, Russia, and the Central Asian republics have feared since the establishment of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, terrorism, separatism, and extremism. Increasing concerns about terrorism. China's pragmatist stance toward the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan thus reflects its apprehensions regarding the potential ramifications of Afghanistan's ongoing instability. China, like its neighbors in Afghanistan, is concerned about the growth of Islamist terrorism, a fresh influx of refugees, and an increase in the trafficking of weapons and drugs. Beijing's response to the Taliban's comeback, then, is therefore very different from its response to the Islamist organization's initial rise to power in 1996. China then shut down its embassy in the Afghan capital in addition to refusing to acknowledge the Taliban. Beijing accepted the credentials that the new Taliban ambassador had to offer last January, even though it did not formally recognize the Taliban authority. From a little-known ISIS branch operating in a remote mountainous region of Afghanistan, the Islamic State in Khorasan Province, ISKP, has developed into an extremist organization with a global reach that has been able to expand its activities into Iran, Pakistan, and most recently, Russia. According to reports, ISIS fighters from Central Asia, specifically, the Tajiks, are responsible for these attacks. ISKP's online anti-China propaganda has increased since the 2022 suicide attack at a Chinese-owned hotel in Kabul. The group is against Beijing's support of the Taliban and China's policy in Xinjiang. Therefore, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's potential impending travel to China to support CPEC is clouded by the increasing bloodshed from ISKP and other transnational militant groups located in Afghanistan and Pakistan, including the Baloch separatists. The current terrorist assaults will probably cause attention to divert from economic discussions. Beijing has already pressured Islamabad to handle security issues and give priority to Chinese individuals, institutions, and projects in Pakistan. Getting around a difficult neighborhood. Additionally, there is now more friction between Afghanistan and its neighbors, Iran and Pakistan. This was illustrated by multiple gunfights between Iranian and Afghan border guards, as well as by Pakistan's recent aerial raid on Afghanistan to dismantle a militant base and Iran's missile launches into Pakistan intended to target extremist militants. As these occurrences show, Beijing is concerned about the sharp drop in security in the region. The heightened counterterrorism measures implemented by each nation run the risk of exacerbating already existing unrest and upsetting the fragile equilibrium among migrants inside their borders. This shifts the balance of power near China's near abroad, namely South and Central Asia, with significant geopolitical ramifications. The potential future visit of Pakistan's Prime Minister to China amid global unrest begs whether the issue of allowing Chinese private security companies, PSCs, to establish a legal presence in Pakistan will be addressed. Beijing is considering expanding the scope of its private security industry to fill security gaps in light of the attacks on the BRI, ranging from South Asia to Africa. There is already a tendency toward an increase in Chinese PSCs operating overseas, extending from Africa to the Red Sea. Furthermore, Chinese security analysts have been calling for direct Chinese involvement in counterterrorism operations on social media ever since the latest attack. Beijing had before urged Islamabad to approve Chinese PSCs to protect Chinese laborers and projects in Pakistan. The recent spike in violence could spark this renewed push. In the past, Islamabad has rejected giving Chinese PSCs in the nation authorization to operate independently. However, with the swift deterioration of security circumstances and the pressing need for Chinese financial support, a compromise might finally be approaching.